What's up, Planeswalkers, and welcome to another edition of the Hive Mind. This is the show that I traverse the multiverse in search of other prominent Planeswalkers, being YouTube content creators, bloggers, pro players. My name is John the Orzhov Dunn, known in some circles. So today I have an extremely special guest, planeswalking all the way in from Oklahoma City, and this is Nizzahon Magic. Thank you for joining me, sir.
No problem. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very excited to finally get you on the show.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Excellent, excellent. So, as we do on the show each and every week, we like to get your Magic origin story. So what got you started in this?
Well, I think like a lot of people about my age, I'm 28, I actually got started playing Pokemon cards, which were like huge when I was in middle school. I was, very into that, and, after a while, I kind of got bored of it, and I was going to the place where I always buy cards, and I saw these other cards. At this point, I was, I guess, 10 or 11. I didn't have the realization that other card games even existed, So seeing these other cards, these Magic cards, I had no idea anything about the game, but I decided to buy a few packs. It was Urza's Saga at the time, and like I said, I didn't really know what was going on, but I opened the packs, and I got Karn Silver Golem as my rare, and that had somewhat of an impact on me because, it's a cool card, it has cool art and all of that, but I'm also Jewish, and I just recently learned in Jewish folklore there's these creatures called golems, and so I saw this golem on a card, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And so I went about trying to learn how to play, got some of my friends learning how to play, but I think as most of us who started playing when we were quite young didn't exactly play the game correctly. We thought that when you added mana to your mana pool, when you tapped lands, they were just gone. So you can imagine how slow our games were because you can't play anything on turn one because your land will just be gone, So all of our decks were just like huge monsters and things like that because that's how we thought it worked. Then, even after we started to get the game more, we thought that counter spells literally meant that you redirected the spell and stopped and not just stopped it. And so, but over time, I played the game for a long time, from when I was about 10 to my early 20s, and then I actually stopped playing for a while. I guess it was about Lorwyn.
Okay.
I stopped playing for a while, but then I came back to the game a few years later, returned to Ravnica Block, and came back even more passionate than ever. I've always loved drafting, even, when I was a lot younger, and that's basically, for a while I did a little bit of everything, but almost all I do now is limited. So, but I love it, so it works for me.
Excellent. So back in the day on the Nizzahon tables, everything was a fork. There was no counter spells, just forks. Counter spells were forks. Yeah, we did not. But when you think about it, it's called a counter spell. Sounds like you're countering it, but literally all it means is it's a spell that stops something, right? But it sounds. You can see why it makes sense. I'm sure other people who are watching this will say, I thought counter spells literally let you redirect or change the spell too. Absolutely. So, I think they all should have been called cancel, maybe. That would have been more intuitive.
It would have been cancel target spell makes way more sense than counter target spell.
Absolutely. And so, I'm come from a Jewish background as well, so you got to let me know what this golem story is all about. Okay, well,
I'm going to try not to go too deep on you because I am actually a medieval historian, and we don't want to turn this into a medieval history podcast video here, but anyway, in the 16th century in the Czech Republic, this is sort of the origin of where golems and all fantasy literature comes from, is from Jewish folklore. Jews were being persecuted and things like this, things that happened to them at times in the Middle Ages. And one rabbi supposedly made out of clay a creature and inscribed Hebrew letters on it and basically did some magic. And this is folklore, of course, there's no and this creature came and was the protector of the Jewish people. It protected them, this large rock creature, basically, clay creature. So that's where golems come from in all fantasy literature, actually, is from that story from the 16th century.
That is excellent. You never know what you're going to find out on the Hive Mind.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent. Thank you. You know, Conley's drinking tequila in Dublin, Ireland, and we're learning our Jewish folklore on this episode. This is why I love doing this show. Like, seriously. So you kind of already touched on my next question. Your favorite format, I assume, is limited, correct?
Yeah, draft specifically. I like sealed, but with sealed can be way too inconsistent. Like, you can open up this incredible pool,
sure,
and you can also open horrible pools. And that can happen to some extent in limited, but it's not to the same degree. If you find your lane and you stay in it, you're going to at least end up with a decent deck usually. I mean, there's train wrecks that happen, but I like draft more. I do like sealed, but I play it a lot less than I do drafting. And so yeah, my favorite limited format is one that I think a lot of people actually hate, but it's actually when I started playing limited was Champions of Kamigawa block.
Oh,
so I think a lot of people hated that format, but I like it. When it was flashback time last year, I drafted it multiple times and still had a lot of fun with it. Never got into Mizzahon Jite though, which is like the most broken limited card ever. It's up there anyway. So
well, you know, Kamigawa was intuitive with itself. It was a very parasitic set, so
yeah,
drafting it within its own block was not as bad as having to, you know, craft constructed decks with other sets with it. So no, I can see that. That makes sense. So and you said you came back, returned to Ravnica. I came back a little bit, you know, after my hiatus. I came back right around Innistrad, actually like Avacyn Restored. And this seems to be a running theme on the show. Like, as far as standard formats go, are you on the same wagon as, you know, Return to Ravnica, Innistrad being your favorite format?
For standard?
Yeah.
Maybe. I actually think it was probably Onslaught block for me. That's standard.
Nice.
That's when I got, you know, I started playing in Urza's block, right? You know, a few blocks before, and that's when I started to get really serious. So some of it has to do with nostalgia. And I had a Goblin deck, you know, like I got all my Goblin pile drivers and my War Chiefs and all that stuff, and I had a lot of fun with that deck. So I have a lot of sentimental value for Onslaught standard. Probably before Mirrodin came out and sort of ruined everything, but that's when a lot of people left the game was because of Mirrodin block. But
that was like a crazy sandwich too, because Urza block ruined the game, and then you had kind of lower powered sets come in, and then, you know, like you said, Mirrodin came in and blew the whole game up, and Rosewater's dodged many a bullets.
Yeah, well, we hadn't had a card banned in standard in forever, and then now recently they sort of realized they made a few more mistakes.
Not since Jace, right? Yeah. So let's talk a little bit. I know it's kind of going off the rails a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about that ban restricted update. You know, and the huge one was like, well, we'll get to the elephant in the room in a minute, but, you know, a big one was finally getting rid of Top and Legacy because it was such a drag, for lack of a better word. And then we had a couple restricted cards. You know, first, kind of your thoughts on the Legacy ban, and then, you know, we could talk about the lack thereof of bans in Standard.
The Legacy ban, I think, is good for the game. It is kind of, I saw someone post on Reddit, like a funny post about, like, thanks for all the reprints this year, Wizards, and they reprinted all these miracles, and then they're like, nah, since it's Divine Top's ban, so your deck's basically non-existent.
Right.
But I know, and, you know, they've been public about it, they want to make the game more consumable on venues like Twitch, and watching people play Legacy miracles on Twitch is not interesting at all. It is so terrible to watch people top every turn. And I know, you know, some people are upset that, you know, it's Magic looking to make more money, and yeah, it is, but they're looking to make it more popular, to make it so that you can find more people who play the game, you know, make it so, you know, I think it's good in the long run, because Legacy is an interesting format, I think, but I think with lots of decks running tops, especially Miracle decks, it slowed down the game way too much for anyone to want to watch it on Twitch on a Legacy Grand Prix. So
sure, and talk about like spreading the word out and trying to get the entry level a little bit better. Now everything gets a Masters, you know. Modern gets a Masters, Eternal gets a Masters, you get a Masters, you know. We're WotC's the Oprah of Masters right now. So it's
iconic Masters, whatever that's going to be.
Whatever that's going to be, right? So it's just like, at this point, as far as all the Masters go, are they trying to get everyone these cards in hand so we can promote Modern and Legacy more, or what's going on with that? What do you think WotC's idea is behind all these Masters set?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I do kind of. It's interesting because Modern, up until very recently, was still a Pro Tour format, and then they got rid of that, and I was like, man, they're just really focusing on Standard. But then they're making sure they do Modern Masters. There's still Modern Grand Prix and stuff, but I think they are trying to support the game in other formats. But it's kind of difficult to say because Modern and Legacy decks are so expensive. Not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah.
That your entry-level player isn't going to start by playing either of those formats. I mean, they're most likely going to start playing Standard, and then eventually, usually what happens, seems to be what happens, is people play Standard for a while, they have a deck they like, that deck rotates out, and then they're like, that wasn't very much fun, I'm going to go find a non-rotating format deck and not have to deal with that again.
Sure.
So I don't see how Modern Masters appeals that much to entry-level players. Even like the limited format is way too complicated for your average player because there's so much going on, so many different mechanics and shards, and so you have to be a fairly experienced player, I think, for Modern Masters sets to really get you interested in Modern to begin with. So, I think to some degree those are about making money, but they do help decrease prices of certain cards. Other cards like Mishra's Bauble go up to millions of dollars because they don't get reprinted.
Right.
So you can see that it has an effect on the market. If a card doesn't get reprinted, it becomes very expensive, and if it does, it gets cheaper, at least for a while. So I think they're good. I think they're really fun limited formats. Again, that's sort of my forte in Magic. But I don't know how good they are at actually getting people into Legacy or Modern or Vintage.
Sure. And did they spoil what Iconic Masters is going to be legal in yet, or no? They haven't said.
No, I don't think we know anything except what it's called, right? Mm-hmm. That's that's last I knew. So
yeah, so Standard only legal. It's like, what? Here's all the cards that have been banned for the past. This is your Iconic Masters. What do I do with this? $10 a pack, whatever. But okay, so let's kind of shift back into your personal background. What got you into Magic and YouTube?
It's a good question, I guess. I got really passionately into the game when I came back to it. And actually, basically what happened is I stopped playing for a while. I actually got engaged to a person, and then we broke up. And then just things, I was upset, things were bad, and I just sort of reached back for something that I loved and knew, and I started playing Magic a lot, online primarily. I was actually living in Israel at the time, and a friend of mine and me would play a couple times a week on Magic Online, just for fun, and it slowly became more and more addictive, basically, and eventually I ended up at the point where I was, drafting multiple times a week, and I realized, I watched other people's draft videos and other people's limited reviews and things like that, and I said, I've played the game long enough and I draft enough, I'm addicted enough to it, and I love it enough that I want to start making limited content on YouTube. And when I started, I was also doing budget Commander deck techs and budget Modern and Standard deck techs, and I do enjoy those formats, especially Commander, but eventually Limited became so all-encompassing for me that I just only wanted to focus on it, and that's like 99% of what I do now when I actually play. I also, the top 10 lists that I do are I'm also very interested in Magic's history. I'm a historian, like I mentioned, and
absolutely.
For me, sort of digging through and looking at the past of cards and finding cards that were somehow successful on the Pro Tour or more successful than you think. This Friday, for example, I have a top 10 clerics list coming out, and Arishin Cleric is number 3, and nobody would guess that because a 2-mana 1/3 that gains you 3 life. So you get to sort of find the narrative about why this card was played so much and look back on it, and it helps people and it helps me evaluate cards in the future too, because sometimes cards are way better than they look. So
absolutely, I love your top 10 list, man, and especially love your top 10 list with the Urza Saga thing for the Card Bazaar. Maybe I had a vested interest, but either way, it was very good. For the card anthology that rather. So let's talk about kind of the Avengers of the YouTube community right now, being the Aether Hub. Kind of tell me, how did that all happen and your involvement in that?
Well, it was Simon one day just contacted me and said he was interested in starting a channel that was more than just lore. He wanted to sort of make it, this is where the name came from eventually. He wanted to make it a hub for YouTube for Magic content where we could draw people in from, you know, all different points of view of Magic. Like, people are really interested in lore will come for him. People are really interested in limited might subscribe because of me. People really interested in standard might come for Bad Wolf MTG. People really interested in Commander might come because of Planeswalker Project. And so we all sort of have different things that we're most passionate about Magic. And it sort of just worked that the four of us, the only thing we don't have at this point, I guess, is vintage and legacy people, like non-rotating format people, which I guess could happen at some point. But so he just said he wanted to do that, and he picked the three of us based on, you know, our content we had produced up to that point, and that's basically all there is to it. We just decided to go for it, and it's I think been fairly successful at creating one channel where you can get all kinds of different content.
Absolutely, no, it's excellent stuff, and I think it was a great idea. You know, the voice of many is louder than the voice of one, so it is a great project. And so, just kind of, like you said, you've been really drafting Amonkhet, so let's kind of delve, now that this set's released, you know, pre-release happened, drafts are happening, give me some of your kind of initial thoughts on Amonkhet, you know, I know you're more of a limited, but as far as impact on standard goes, if there is any because of the lack of bannings, but I digress. You know, just kind of Amonkhet's place in the strata right now.
In terms of standard, I mean, I think there are definitely cards that are going to make an impact. Glorybringer, the dragon, is the one a lot of people are talking about. I also think Manglehorn is going to be so good. The format right now is just loaded with vehicles, loaded with Saheeli Rai, and it shuts down. Well, it doesn't shut down both of them, but it's a problem for both of them, and it shuts down the Saheeli Rai combo, period, if they don't deal with Manglehorn, because all their tokens come into play tapped, and that doesn't matter. So they printed some hate cards. That's one of the interesting things when I was doing the limited review. I was looking, you know, because I reviewed literally every card in the set on my channel, just to plug that if you want to know my thoughts on every card in limited on my channel.
Absolutely, you were like a busy man. That was a lot of work.
It was, but I was just noticing, I was like, man, there are all of these artifact hate cards that are so bad in this actual limited format. And that's because they were trying, they seem to do that when they design things. They're sort of an escape hatch. If things were going too bad, they're like, let's make as much artifact hate as we can. And so you have Manglehorn, which I think is the best of it. And I can't remember the name of the other one, but it's X and a red to destroy X target artifacts. Things like that are going to show up in sideboards. Manglehorn is especially good because it's green, so any deck that already runs Traverse the Ulvenwald is just going to mainboard one copy, because you can just tutor it up and blow up, you know, Heart of Kiran, or shut down the Saheeli Rai combo or whatever. Trying to think about other cards in terms of, I've been drafting all day, so it's hard to think about constructed, but I think, you know, every new set is going to impact standard. Some people, I think, are worried that this one won't at all because Saheeli Rai didn't get banned, or Felidar, you know, Felidar Guardian rather didn't get banned. But I do think that there's a decent amount of artifact hate that could end up being enough, and that's kind of what they said in the ban announcement. They didn't say that, but they said, things have been printed now, there's new things going on, maybe we should wait and see what happens without banning anything. And I think what they really don't want to do is have to ban things in standard twice in one standard format, basically. So that hopefully they don't have to, but we'll see.
And I think it's really unfortunate because Amonkhet seems like it's very reminiscent of Innistrad, where it's a very top-down, but it's very intuitive. It looks like it plays more like an advanced core set, and it's kind of sad that it's not kind of getting its luster right out of the gate.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is. I mean, I've drafted it 6 times now, I think.
Okay.
And it is an excellent format so far. There's just a lot going on. The designs. There's some unique archetypes we've never seen before, like blue-black cycling, black-green -1/-1 counters, and those are some really interesting design spaces. And cycling in general is a really cool mechanic that's so simplistic, and it's nice when they bring it because it makes cards so much better than there would be. There are like, Crested Ceradon or whatever. It's like a 6-mana 6/4. You're not going to play that in any limited format, except that this one has pay 1 red mana and cycle it. So it's actually better. It's actually better than your average 6-mana 6/6 even.
Absolutely.
Because it does something at all stages of the game, and that's important and limited. And I think adding cycling, and all the colors have it. Blue, black, and red is sort of the most concentrated, but all the colors have it, and it makes the format very interesting. There's lots more decisions to be made. Some of the cards, the ones that cycle and do something when they get cycled, are basically split cards, and then of course you have actual split cards.
Yeah.
And I love. I haven't drafted all the archetypes yet, but the zombie deck has been a lot of fun. The blue-green ramp deck's been a lot of fun. The blue-black cycling deck's a lot of fun, and I think every archetype looks really fun. I mean, the ones I'm usually more of the kind of guy who likes cards that say draw cards on them, and I'm into control and stuff. So the red, white, and green, white archetypes don't interest me as much, but they're still pretty unique. Like Exert is a unique mechanic. That's another sort of decision you have to make every turn, whether it's worth it to exert your guy or not. And so I think the format is very well developed for limited, at least, even if it ends up not having enough of an impact on standard. It's an excellent limited format.
As far as Embalm goes, does it seem like, at first glance, it seemed like everything was turning into a Lingering Souls, where I'm like, this could be a problem? Is it not as powerful as kind of it looks on face value?
It's definitely powerful, but it's not that powerful. It's definitely a great. That's sort of the blue-white archetype. I mean, every color has at least one card with Embalm, but blue and white have them at all rarities, basically, and they're usually reasonably costed. I mean, there's the rares are the exceptions. The rares that get crazy, like the Hydra that has a really low Embalm cost, which that's another card that could impact standard in a deck, in a madness deck of sorts that can discard it early and play it as a 6/6 on turn 4. But yeah, they are powerful. They can make themselves all into 2-for-1s basically, but the mana investment is real. I mean, there's the 2-mana 2/1 guy who has 3 and a blue as his Embalm cost, and basically what most of them end up being, instead of being like super aggressive ways to do things out of your graveyard, is it's just sort of like, okay, we're in the middle point of this game, I'm flooding out, I'm just going to Embalm some guys out of my graveyard. And that sounds minor, but that's some serious value because it gives you a mana sink. It gives you an extra card, basically. The way to sort of think about them, that makes them, the way I think about them anyways, that it's sort of like having an extra card in your hand, basically, that you can play during your turn whenever you want to. And it may be overcosted, you may be paying 5 mana for a 3/2 with Vigilance, but it's better than nothing, which is what happened. You flood out a lot in Limited, and they're just mana sinks, basically. Most of them aren't that powerful in Limited. They're just solid cards, basically. They're very good, but they're not overpowering. It's not like Lingering Souls, certainly.
Awesome. Oh man, I can't wait to draft this set. I haven't gotten a chance to yet, but it just looks like so much card advantage, but not card advantage to where it's ridiculous, and it's spread out with all the colors, which is nice. So you don't have any, Sphinx's Revelation kind of issues. Everybody kind of gets cantrips and Embalm and all that stuff. So it just seems like there's a lot of well-roundedness in this format. Yeah, no, they've been. I think it's nice and refreshing because I think that Ether Revolt got stale sort of quickly, at least for me. It just seemed like there were really the only 2 or 3 decks that were powerful enough to consistently do well, and I would try to branch off into other things, and it just didn't work. And it would just be like, subpar, good stuff decks. And, the artifact theme also got kind of old. Like, I really loved the improvised decks in that format. That was the deck I drafted the most. But, even though I loved that deck, after I drafted it my 20th time or whatever, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go to Egypt, I'm ready for this new set. Right.
And this new set has a lot more going on, like 3, 4, 5 color pairs in Ether Revolt were artifact-based things, so it didn't feel like you were doing that much different if you were blue-black or blue-red or black-red, you know. It all felt like kind of the same deck, so it's nice to see some more variety here, and there's a lot of interesting new mechanics like Exerted and Bomb, especially.
Oh man, that's awesome. We just gotta wait for some problem children to kind of leave the schoolyard so we can fully embrace this set. So absolutely, man. Thank you for giving me your initial thoughts and kind of a dive deep into Amonkhet. If anyone knows this set, it's you. I mean, you went through a lot to, you know, in that set review and everything. So you are the Amonkhet professional. So right now we're gonna shift over, and this is called. Yeah, sounds a lot more intimidating with my cold. But basically all this is I'm going to shoot off 8 questions really fast, and you're just going to kind of, first thing that pops in your head.
Okay.
You ready?
Like it, yeah.
All right, sir. Number 1. More aptly named for this set, Amonkhet or Amonkats?
I think Amonkhet.
Amonkhet.
There aren't enough cats. I mean, you got Regal Caracal, but there aren't that many cats.
All right. If you could play any Planeswalker in the Magic the Gathering movie, who would it be?
That is a good question. Let's go with Garrick.
Oh.
I think that was the first one I ever opened back in Lorwyn, so I like him a lot.
Nice.
Dark Wild Speaker.
Pre or post corruption would be more fun.
Pre, I think.
Pre, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, are we ever going to see him again? I know this is going off the beaten path, but man, we haven't seen him in a minute.
Maybe. Isn't a Johnny getting somebody from Dominaria? Could be anybody visiting Dominaria, right?
All right. All right, number 3. If you had to listen to only one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ride the Lightning, Metallica.
Wow, nice. You and Coach from Card Bazaar would probably be in the same boat then.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, favorite holiday?
Passover, I think.
Nice.
It was just Passover, so
it was.
It's fresh on my mind.
There we go. I miss matzo ball soup. I haven't had any in a while.
It's good stuff.
It is. It's great stuff. Number 5, what was the last movie you saw? Quick review?
Well, does it have to be in theaters or just in general?
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. I have to actually think about the answer to this. I don't watch a ton of movies right now. I'm mostly watching TV shows.
Switch it to TV. Switch it to TV.
Switch it to TV, okay. I've been watching Luke Cage. Okay. It's really good. That's my quick review. It does a good job of commenting on society while still being an exciting action show and without being too preachy, I think. That's my review for Luke Cage.
Some of the best music, too, in a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of live music performances from classic artists and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one oozes style. Not my favorite of the 4, but it oozes style.
I still haven't seen Iron Fist, and I'm kind of dreading watching it.
You're not missing much. You're not missing much.
I feel like I have to watch it before I get to the Defenders, but anyway.
Oh, man. Daredevil Season 2 for me is the best. I am a big John Bernthal Punisher guy, man. Oh, it was incredible.
Okay, you know, we're sort of diverging. I do like the character of the Punisher, but that season I think is actually worse than the first season because of all the Mystic Ninja stuff that just is so out of place.
The
Punisher,
yeah.
You could have just had the Punisher stuff and had like Elektra show up again, trying to pull him in different directions, and it would have been a great season. But the Mystic Ninja stuff just did not tonally make a lot of sense, but that's okay.
You know what, I completely agree. It seemed like it was 2 seasons in one, and if they just gave more Punisher stuff, I would have been totally happy. But, okay, if you had to choose one person to formulate a jailbreak plan, it would be?
MacGyver, I guess. Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah. Not a real person, but hey.
Yeah, no, 80s MacGyver or the new guy that we have now?
80s. I didn't even know there was a new MacGyver.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, because it sucks.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
All right, Star Wars or Star Trek?
That question's always hard for me. I love them both. but I guess if I had to pick one, I'm going to go Star Trek.
Star Trek. Oh, okay. I thought we were best friends, but it's all right. We're still good friends.
Do you hate Star Trek?
I'm a real big fan of the new movie series, and that's about it.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Sorry.
That's fine.
But I have a huge man crush on Mark Hamill in any iteration. So you know, the Joker especially, but anything Mark Hamill's involved in, I'm on board. Okay. And last one, Marvel or DC?
This is another hard one because I love them both.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go with Marvel.
All right, we agree there. DC has better villains.
Okay, that's good. DC does have better villains, but Marvel has generally more, their characters have more depth for the most part.
Absolutely. Sir, you have survived the gauntlet of power. Would you like to spoil any upcoming projects, Mr. Nizzahon?
I mean, I'm going to be doing a set review for Hour of Devastation in a couple of months, just like I did for this. I've got graphic videos coming out every week of Cat right now, both on the Ether Hub and on my own channel, Nizzahon Magic. Same with top 10s every week. Eventually, once I get Cat packs, I'm also going to do Cracker packs where I tell you what I would pick. And you can also win those packs. They're given away at the end of each month. So I think that's about it. I don't have any like future new content, just continuing to do what I'm doing.
Excellent. So, and sir, if you'd like to tell the good kids where to find you on all platforms.
Yeah, on YouTube, you can just look for Nizzahon. There's not going to be anyone else with that name. On Twitter, it's Nizzahon_magic. And that's it. I don't think I have any other platforms. I think that's it. Oh, Patreon. I have Patreon, where it's also Nizzahon. You can just look for Nizzahon Magic.
Excellent.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, this was Nizzahon Magic. Thank you so much for joining me finally on the Hive Mind.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And I will see you all in the multiverse.